या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रान्विता या वीणां वरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेत पद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युत शङ्कर प्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा पूजिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा.
Good morning to learned colleagues. My dear students, eminent resource persons and other dignitaries, a warm welcome to one and all. Department of Chemistry, SVRK Government Degree College, Nidadavol, invites everyone to this national webinar. The webinar aims to impart knowledge about the impact of pesticides as well as fertilizers on plants and human health. As outset, East and West Godavari districts are known as rice bowl of Andhra Pradesh. The major crops in this area are paddy as well as sugar. For cultivation, farmers are generally used various chemical fertilizers as well as chemicals to eradicate certain harmful pests, insects, or some unwanted weeds. Chemical fertilizers or pesticides definitely eradicate these pests, weed, insects, and help the plants to grow better and produce high yields. But unfortunately, the residue of these chemical fertilizers or pesticides may cause certain serious health hazards to the living beings, that is plants or animals or human beings. These chemical fertilizers or chemical pesticides are to achieve more production per unit. Environmental issues like soil pollution, water pollution, and decreased food quality, and rather resistance developed in the different weeds, diseases, and finally the toxicity in different beneficial living organisms. Finally, the biodiversity and the ecological balance is disturbed. To learn more about this event, or rather this current topic, we have invited two eminent resource persons in the field of chemistry as well as in the field of agriculture science. One is Dr. GMV Prasad Rao Garu, Principal Scientist Entomology from Acharya NG Ranga Agriculture University, Lam, Guntur, who will deliver a lecture on impact of chemical fertilizers as well as pesticides on biodiversity. And another famous personality, Professor Murthy SSS Chavali Garu, Dean in Analytical Chemistry from Alliance University, Bangalore, and he will deliver the lecture on harmful effects of pesticides as well as chemicals on human health. I hope, being an educated people, we must think to stop rather to reduce the usage of harmful chemical fertilizers or pesticides to promote natural farming techniques like Palekar method or organic farming, or optimum usage of pesticides or fertilizers for the survival of human beings, plants as well as animals. Now, I request our principal, Dr. K. Jyoti Garu, to give presidential address. Over to you, madam.
Yeah, good morning to all. On behalf of Sri Velagapudi Ramakrishna Government Degree College, Nidavolu, I welcome you to the one-day national webinar on impact of pesticides and fertilizers on plants and animals, organized by Department of Chemistry in collaboration with IQAC. Sri Velagapudi Ramakrishna Government Degree College, Nidavolu, as it is often called as SVRK Government Degree College, Nidavolu. I am really delighted to find a wide gathering of students, researchers, and academicians from all over the nation. I welcome the resource persons, Sri Dr. GMV Prasad Rao Garu, Principal Scientist, Entomology, Acharya NG Ranga Agricultural University, Guntur, and Professor Murthy SSS Chavali Garu, Dean and Professor in Analytical Chemistry, Alliance University, Bangalore, for having come forward to share their thoughts on this platform. Namaste, sir. As a head of the institution at the outset, let me give a brief introduction of our college. Our college is called as Sri Velagapudi Ramakrishna Government Degree College, SVRK, which was established in the year 1971. Frankly speaking, the Lions Club of Nerdavolu and the philanthropic people of the town, they gathered and raised funds to develop this college. Actually, to start this college. Initially, the founder president of college committee, Dr. BVLN Raju Garu, and Sri Venkatratnam Garu, the founder secretary, they strived hard for the sanction of the college. On this occasion, I thank them all. At the beginning of this college, only BA and BCom courses were introduced. After that came the BSc courses with MPC and CPZ. And BSc computer course was sanctioned in the year 2004, and very recently we have BA computer applications course, which was sanctioned in 2019. At present, we have 6 UG courses. Dear friends, I am proud to share with you that our college was accredited by NAC with B grade in the second cycle. RUSA grants were also sanctioned, with which the college has 6 additional classrooms. And also the college has equipped with modern infrastructural facilities such as digital classrooms and virtual classrooms with the help of our Commissionerate of Collegiate Education. Efforts to establish media center, research-oriented incubation center are in the pipeline. All this was achieved with the collective efforts of students, staff, our non-teaching staff, and also Commissionerate of Collegiate Education. On this platform, I thank our Commissionerate of Collegiate Education for having helped us in doing all these. To cater to the wide spectrum of students, we organize a number of student-centric activities. And of course, organizing webinars is one of the very, very important research-oriented activity. In this context, I congratulate the Department of Chemistry who has come forward right in the beginning. In this academic year, this is the first program we are organizing with the help of our IQAC. Hence, I thank the IQAC coordinator, Dr. Hanmantrao Garu, and our Vice Principal, Sri E. Nageshrao Garu, who are behind the screen in crafting this program. I wish the deliberations during the program would prove to be very fruitful to all the participants. My best wishes are with the organizing committee, convener Dr. Ravindra, and organizing secretary Dr. Rahul Garu. Thank you very much. I hand over to Dr. Ravindra for the next program.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Please go on.
Okay, madam. Thank you. Now I request M. Usha Rani Garu to introduce the resource person, Dr. GMV Prasad Garu, Principal Scientist, Entomology from Acharya NG Ranga Agriculture University, Lam, Guntur. Over to Usha Rani.
Good morning, one and all. I am Usha Rani from SVRK Government Degree College, Faculty in Chemistry. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our resource person, Dr. GMV Prasad Rao Garu, who is known for his work as a principal scientist in entomology in Regional Agricultural Research Station, Guntur. Our speaker done his PhD from Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi. His employment services made me proud of him after noting his various publications in more than 40 journals and 4 books and manuals. He is in research guidance as major advisor for more than 10 years. What made me struck is his recent award as Outstanding Agricultural Scientist, which is very commendable achievement. He is also awarded in 2015 as State Level Best Scientist Ugadi Puraskaram by Government of Andhra Pradesh. In 2018, he awarded Best District Cultural Advisory and Transfer of Technology Center Award from Acharya NG Ranga Agricultural University, Lam, Guntur. In 2020, he was awarded with Best Project Award Damu from KVK Darsi, ICAR, Atari Zone 10, Krida Campus, Hyderabad. He has done externally funded research for about 140 lakhs, in which one of the major project is from ICAR Technology Mission on Cotton Mini Mission to Development and Dissemination Insecticide Resistance Management Strategies for Cotton Pest, about 55 lakhs. And lastly, it is my great honor and privilege to introduce a man of dedicated service in entomology for years. Now I welcome Dr. GMV Prasad Rao to deliver his speech on today's topic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam, for your special words on Dr. GMV Prasad Rao Garu. Now I request today's resource person, Dr. GMV Prasad Rao Garu, to deliver his valuable message on this national webinar. Over to you, sir.
Andariki namaskaram. Good morning to one and all. I am at the outset, I am very much thankful to the organizers, especially principal of the college and Dr. Ravindra Garu for inviting me to deliver a talk on impact of pesticides on biodiversity. This is as Ravindra Garu told, your institute is located in Godavari districts. A lot of things are happening these days. We have seen what happened in Eluru and other parts of the other different parts. So not only in paddy, the consumption of fertilizers, pesticides is heavy in Andhra Pradesh, especially these Guntur, Krishna, East West Godavari, Kurnool, and other parts of other districts also. So it is a burning topic. Lot of things are happening. So since audience are non-agriculture, I suppose non-agriculture community. So I try to introduce the topic and deliver certain basic things, and I will suggest some of the alternate strategies to mitigate the to mitigate these impacts of pesticide. Once again, I welcome all of you for this talk. Thank you very much. So, the topic is impact of pesticides on biodiversity. So there are three words in it: impact, pesticides, and biodiversity. So impact, we all know what is impact means. That is influence. What is pesticide? What is biodiversity? The link between pesticide and biodiversity. First, I will just touch upon what is pest and what is pesticides for the benefit of the audience. So then so what is pest? Any organism which adversely affects man, his crops, his livestock, anything that he considers to be value. That means anything which causes economic damage to him, economic damage to the mankind, economic damage to the livestock, that is called pest. So there are several pests are there. There are insects, there are weeds, weed also pests. There are vertebrates, there are nematodes, microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, viruses. These are all pests. They cause economic damage. They cause nuisance value to the man, his crops, and his economic activity. So what is pesticide? A pesticide is anything, any substance or mixture of anything which intended to preventing, destroying, repelling, mitigating any pest. So basically, pest means, I have told, side means killing. So the term pesticide is which kills the pest, or else which prevents or which destroys or which repel the pest. That is called pesticide. So why we use pesticides? Pesticides, generally farmers, they use pesticides because for every rupee that they are going to spend on pesticides, 4 rupees they are going to get benefit. That means cost benefit ratio, if you work out, for 1 rupee investment on pesticide, they will get 4 rupee benefit as a product. So that's why most of the farmers, they use pesticides for the management of insect pests. So there are several benefits of pesticides. So pesticide, like direct benefits, are controlling pests and plant diseases, vectors. So these days, so many viral diseases are occurring on crops. Recently, as on date, the major disease in chili is caused by virus that is transmitted by whitefly. That's an insect pest. So to manage that, pesticides are used. So controlling human and livestock diseases. And the other thing is other human activities like trees, bushes, wooden structures, to protect termites. Also, we use pesticides. So other secondary benefits like community benefits. So farm and agri business, to enhance the revenue of farm and agri business, and nutritional quality and health, food safety, security. So many things are. These are all benefits. Why I am telling is, so without first we have to understand what are the benefits of pesticides. Then we go for adverse effects of pesticides. So there are other national benefits. So global benefits are, so many things are there. So what as early as 1493, so this Paracelsus, he told that everything is poison. So you take every substance that is poison. What makes it not poison means it is only dose, the amount of thing we are using. So that is the dose which is important, that permits something to be pesticide or something to be poison or not. So he is the first person to explain dose response relationship. That means lethal dose, LD50. That's LD50 values. I will tell you. So that's why he was called father of toxicology. So if you take some chemical and lethal dose, we daily use the sugar, ethanol, common salt. These are all we daily use. But if the dose goes beyond a certain level, they're lethal to the human being. If you take sugar, 2.8 kg, it is going to kill us. Likewise, if you take ethanol, 2.8 liters, it is going to kill us. Like common salt we take little bit. But if dose goes beyond 0.95 kg, that means around 1 kg, it can kill the human beings. So like that, anything the dose which exceeds normal than that, it causes death of the things. That is lethal to the humans. So then other word is biodiversity. Biodiversity is, we all know, diversity exists in biological organisms, plants and animals. The biodiversity is the degree of variation of life forms within a given species. Within a given species, it means interspecies, intraspecies, several things are the given species, ecosystem, or an entire planet. Biodiversity is a measure of the health of the ecosystem. If biodiversity is good, the ecosystem health is good. So this is the kind of biodiversity we see normally in the ecosystem. So many creatures are there in the ecosystem, starting from single cell organisms to multi-cell organisms and advanced forms, human beings, tiger, lion, everything is there. These are all there in the ecosystem. This is a single unit. If we disturb one part, it is going to disturb other part. So this is what is about my topic, the impact of pesticides on biodiversity. Then we'll go a little bit. So at present, our population is around 7 to 8 billion world population. So by 2030, it will reach 8.5 billion. By 2050, it will reach 9.7 billion. So the population is increasing. For food increases by 60%. You can imagine. We need production of food more than 50% more food. So that is the reality. We are going to face it. So we need to avoid the crop losses. If we can avoid 1% crop loss, we can feed 25 million hungry people. See, you can imagine the kind of things, the kind of crop damage caused by insect pests or vertebrates like other animals and rats and all these things. These are all pests. They are how much loss they are going to cause. They are causing. So if we can avoid just 1% crop loss, we can feed 25 million of hungry people. Then other version. What Einstein says, if the bee disappears from the surface of the earth, man would have no more than 4 years to live. That means if you apply more pesticides, more fertilizers, more inorganic things, we are killing the organisms like bees. We all know importance of honeybees. Honeybees not only giving, we know only honeybees means honey. If we take their ecosystem services, they are very much useful to the pollination of the crops. So if you right away applying pesticides, fertilizers and all other inorganic things, if you eliminate the bees, so it is very difficult to man to live on the earth. So Einstein himself long back he told that if you eliminate the, so you don't have much time to live on the. So that's why we need to understand the benefits. So then only we can put the risks in perspective. So to know the adverse impacts of the insecticides or pesticides or any other fungicides, herbicides on biodiversity, we must first understand the benefits, then we can go to the risks. So estimated crop loss because of insects is 14%. You can see more than 10% crop loss is due to insects, and pathogens around 13%, weeds around 3%. So if you take entire thing into consideration, 100 lakh crore rupees damage they are causing to the mankind. So to overcome that, to manage that, to mitigate the damage, entire worldwide, people are using 30 lakh metric tons of insecticides or pesticides, that equal to 2 lakh crore rupees, that equals to our AP state budget. So if you come to the consumption of pesticides worldwide, that is even 2011 data, not much difference is there. Taiwan uses 17 kg per hectare. This is the average pesticide consumption. So Japan uses around 10.7 kg. Like that, if you come to the India uses very less amount of pesticides. 0.48 kg per hectare. That means India uses only 2% of the world's pesticides. But the thing is, the distribution of usage in India is very skewed. India uses around 25 to 26% of pesticides on cotton alone, and on paddy and all other vegetables and all oil seeds, millets, and all these other crops. India uses less amount of pesticides, and further, most of the Indian lands, dryland areas are there in central India and other parts of India. So where pesticide consumption is less. That means only 25% of the cultivated area uses more pesticides. 75% of cultivated area uses less pesticides. So I told you already, this is the consumption of pesticides in India. If you take cotton, it uses 27% of pesticides. If you take rice, it uses 21%. Fruits and vegetable, 21%. So all other crops remaining percentage. So the distribution is not good. So rice uses more pesticides and cotton uses more pesticides. So why the misuse of chemicals? So chemical usage is I already told the importance of pesticides for management of insect pests. But the problem comes use, misuse, abuse, indiscriminate use of these chemicals. Their point lies. What are the reasons for misuse of these chemical pesticides or chemical insecticides? Means first thing is lack of knowledge. Farmers, they doesn't know. We all know most of the Indian farmers are illiterate, small holdings. So they go to the dealer for prescription. So when we get some disease or some we are not feeling well, we go to doctor. Doctors are available. But in the villages, whatever problem comes, these farmers, they go to pesticide dealers. These pesticide dealers are not qualified. So another important factor is unqualified pesticide dealers providing advice. When they go to pesticide dealer, mostly in villages, the farmers, they go to dealers on they purchase things on credit basis. So once it is on credit basis and the dealer is not qualified, farmer is illiterate, and the dealer try to cheat him, or dealer try to bully him, dealer try to push his own benefits or his own products for the main and he gives whatever get profit to him. So that is also one of the impact. These are all these four factors. The Indian Southeast Asia region, there's a highly qualified professionals. They toured and they traveled and they surveyed, and they finally come to the conclusion. These are all the factors for responsible of misuse of chemicals. This misuse is causing lot of residues, resistance factors, all other adverse effects what we are facing today because of these factors only. Unqualified pesticide dealers providing advice. And other thing is product sold in numerous brand names. So one single pesticide is available in 40 to 50 brand names. Something like you must have heard the name of monocrotophos. It is called Novacron, earlier old brand. So nowadays it's imidacloprid. It's a Confidor. So some multinational companies, good companies, they are after thorough research and trials, they are bringing the product. And once it comes into the market, several formulators and small manufacturers, they purchase the active ingredient from different sources, and they try to manufacture by using different methods. And these farmers, because of Indian farmers, we all know Indian economy itself is a price sensitive economy. If same chemical is available with a multinational company or good company for 300 rupees, and other companies providing the same chemical manufactured with different processes using different techniques, they sell it for 250 rupees. Farmers, they try to purchase for 250 rupees molecule. There, the product quality is not guaranteed. These are all issues are there. Products sold in numerous brand names. This is also creating a lot of problems in fields. So, other thing is irresponsible advertisement and sale promotional activities equivalent to those of FMCGs. So fast moving consumer goods markets are there. So you must have noticed during prime time ETV news 9 o'clock, these pesticide dealers, pesticide manufacturers, they advertise their brands. You see, these pesticides, these insecticides, or these herbicides or fungicides, these are all specific products meant for specific purposes. In spite of that, these products are being advertised at national channels at prime time. Means how much money they are spending to push their product, to advertise their product. So lot of money is involved, lot of things are involved. Is more than 30-40,000 crores market in India. So these are all factors which are causing damage to the ecosystem, damage to the thing. As I already told, we are dependent on insect pollination for one of every 3 bites of food we eat. So Einstein already told. So insect pollination is most important thing. So crops like so many crops, apples, pears, berries, raspberries, cherries, pumpkins, whatnot, all the crops, they're dependent on pollination. So what happened if we spray insecticide? What happens to bees? So these two things they observed: colony collapse disorder, CCD, and orientation disorder. So bees will not come back to the hives once they go from plant to plant to collect pollen. While collecting pollen, they do the cross pollination. So that means they go to the one flower and they collect pollen. While collecting pollen, the pollen, nectar. Sorry, while collecting nectar, the pollen is getting attached to the body or legs. It will go to the other flower while collecting nectar. So it will do the ecosystem services of pollination. Because of that, yield will enhance, yield will increase, and crop productivity is more. So if you spray pesticide indiscriminately, what happens? This colony collapse disorder. So once they leave hives for collecting nectar and they go to the field and they will not come back. That is one this thing. And lesser waggle dance movements. So that means bees used to inform hive mates of the location and the foraging of hives. So that they are not going to do that one. So these two important things, colony collapse disorder and lesser waggle dance, because of these things, pollination is affecting. So these are all different foods where pollination is important, like sunflower. Pollination is most important. So apples, other crops also. So worldwide economic value of the pollination services provided by insect pollinators, bees mainly, was around 153 billion pounds. You can imagine 153 billion pounds. This figure amounted to be 9.5% of the total value of the world agriculture and food production. So you can imagine the importance of the pollination of the bees. So these are the other crops. So this is okay. So now we'll see what are the negative impacts of these pesticides. So this is a recently taken photograph in Guntur district and Guntur town. You can see the pesticide shop in town. How neatly they have arranged, like our cosmetic shop. These ladies cosmetic shop, if you go, they are all arranged nicely. So these are all pesticides. These are all poison. These are all poisonous products. They have arranged it in a nice way. You can see. So what farmers will do? They purchase these products and they spray like this. So this is a pesticide spraying on chili near Guntur. We have just filmed. You can see how hazardous things are. these are all these pesticides. They're all poisonous material. See, the farmers are these spray boys are spraying and they are inhaling the pesticide. So this is what is happening in the ecosystem. So here we like to know about what is food chain and what is food web. So what happens to these sprayed molecules? Where they will go? If you spray 1 liter of pesticide, 99%, that means 990 ml, it will go to the soil or water stream. Only 10% or less than 10% only it is required to kill the pests. Remaining entire thing is waste because of these things. Drift effect on soil, on crop. If rain comes, that will leach away. So you can see. So this food chain and food web, the source of all food is by autotrophs. They are called photosynthesis by plants. They are called producers. This food feeds by herbivores. They are called primary consumers, like us. These carnivores that feed on the primary consumers, they are called secondary consumers. Then tertiary consumers. So such a path of food consumption that is called food chain. The path is called food chain. So every level is called trophic level. If you see, these autotrophs are there. Grass, by photosynthesis, it makes food. These grasshoppers, they eat. They are herbivores, the primary consumers. Though this toad, snake, hawk, these are all carnivores, secondary consumers. Then it will go to decomposers. This is the food chain. Then food web. The most food chains are interconnected. Animals typically consume a varied diet and in turn serve as food for a variety of other creatures that prey on them. These interconnections, these different food chains, they are interconnected, like our World Wide Web, www. So our connections are so interconnected. So like that, our food chains also interconnected. So they cause a food web. If there is a damage or if there is a disconnection in one, it is going to cause damage or disturbance in other. So this is a thing. If you apply any pesticide, so where these producers, this is 0.04 ppm parts per million, these primary producers. So if it goes to next level, it will become 0.23 ppm. If it goes to next level, secondary level, it will become 2.07 ppm. Then tertiary level, so you can imagine this is a biomagnification. So that if it goes to tertiary level, the increase in ppm is thousands, lakhs of times. So producers, there are 5 lakh, so many producers are there, primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers. You all know these biology students and degree students. This is how contamination occurs in the ecosystem. The contamination occurs in the food chain. So other example like depiction. So pesticide cycle, how what happens, what is the fate of pesticides once we applied. So when we applied pesticide, so I already told, because of rain it will go down, or because of the sunlight it get degraded, then because they vaporized into atmosphere, this deposited by rainfall, so it goes down and it reaches to below root zone by irrigation water or by rainwater. So something is degraded by bacterial oxidation, chemical hydrolysis, and all these things, and it will reach to the fish. What happens to fish? We consume fish. So totally, everybody thinks that every farmer or every person who applies the pesticide, he thinks that I am only applying 1 liter of pesticides in my farm. What happens? Nothing will happen to anybody. But that is not the case. If thousands of lakhs of farmers are applying lakhs of liters of pesticides, where that is going? Only 1% is being used by the 1% is meant for killing or destroying the pests, and remaining things we are only eating. So that is the major problem. So it is going to fishes, it is going to milk. So we all know the urban ladies like in who doesn't know about farming or agriculture, sitting in or staying in Bombay, Calcutta, all other metropolitan cities, in their breast milk also these residues are identified, these residues are found. How? This is the reason. This is how things are. We are only exporting our fish. We are only exporting our milk. It is all interconnected. Nowadays, not only within India, we are exporting these things to other countries also. There, people are eating and in their bodies, these chemicals are being found, and they are causing lot of disturbance or diseases, whatever we can call. So I already told, 10 million times enhanced increase is there. See, once because of surface runoff, sewage, rain and river, 0.003 ppm. Very minute quantities. When it reaches to zooplankton, it will be around 0.04 ppm. Then small fishes 0.5 ppm. Then large fish 2 ppm. Sea birds 25 ppm. You can see that's why most of the birds these days, small birds. Nowadays we are not finding those small birds because these after eating these contaminated pesticide contaminated grains and all these things, these birds produce shellless or thin shelled eggs. So those eggs which are produced after eating this thing, they are not becoming offspring. So that means the so these are all what kind of things are happening in the ecosystem. Here, same. Say this is a dead pond. If you see, wow, the people spray here, entire thing because of rainwater and all these things, it comes to the small pond nearby. So you can see no fish, nothing. It's a still pond. That means it is causing damage. So India, if you see, I have already told, India is also, though we are using less quantity of pesticide, but our distribution, our usage is highly skewed, and most of the pesticide produced in India are also exporting. So it's a big market. Big players are involved. It's a big market. So then, what are the methods to use safe use of insecticides? So then, how to mitigate these things? Then, while in his remarks, Dr. Ravindra is telling natural farming, polycar methods of farming, organic farming. So many things are there. Agriculture. This what we have seen is chemical farming. So there are several what we can say limitations of every farming system. So polycar method has got its own limitation. Organic farming has got its own limitation. We have seen the kind of population explosion. What to do? We all know roti, kapda, makan. This is the biggest thing. We need to feed the entire population. Otherwise, that is a crime. If you are not feeding your own population, it's a crime. So we need to produce. We need to feed. So we have to strike a balance. That is most important. We have to strike a balance. We have to produce the things by using safe methods, safe technologies. So those things are available now. These safe methods are available. Safe technologies are available. So polycar method is another extreme method where he says that by using single cow, you can produce. You can do agriculture in 30 acres. So that is a different subject. We'll see. So handling and mixing. Then what are the safe methods? Safe use of insecticides. So insecticides, you need to use them safely. Safe use of insecticides, you need to use them safely while handling and mixing and application. So handling and mixing. So these are all, I have already told, these are all hazardous molecules. You need to handle them very carefully. And further, each and every bottle or box of these pesticides, they contain labels. So you need to read the label. Label is a law. So what it contains what is pesticide, what is the pesticide, what ingredient it has, what is the percentage, where on what crop we have to use, and what these are all there and labeled. And most of the farmers, most of the persons, they won't read the label, but reading a label is must. So proper equipment, spraying methods, spraying techniques, protection, so these are all important. And when you use highly hazardous molecules, you have to work with the other person, not alone. So symptoms of poison, what happens? There are three ways of contamination: oral contamination, inhalation, and thermal exposure. Oral means you all know. And symptoms of mild poisoning, what happens? The headache will come if you exposed to the pesticides. Mild poisoning is headache and feeling sickness, dizziness, fatigue, irritation to skin, eyes, nose, throat, perspiration, chamata pattipodu, loss of appetite, aakali undavu. So these are a mild poison. There are moderate poisoning: vomiting, blurred vision, stomach cramps, rapid pulse, difficulty in breathing, constricted pupils and pupils of eyes, excessive precipitation, trembling and twitching of muscles, fatigue, nervous. These are all the English terms, we all know the meaning. These are all moderate poison. Then severe poisoning, convulsions, idaipotaru manusulu, respiratory failure, శ్వాస ఆగిపోవచ్చు, కాన్షియస్నెస్ పోవచ్చు, పల్స్ పోవచ్చు, some cases fatal cases, then death. Recently 2018-19 in Maharashtra, we have seen several people, 20 to 25 people died because of just pesticide spraying. They have not used correct equipment. They have sprayed midday, whatever they sprayed, that spray molecule, the spray formation, the spray fluid, it has come and fallen on their own skin, and because of midday, the pores are open and entire poison gone inside the thing, and the people died because of they sprayed very hazardous mixture of pesticide like Prophenoplast, cypermethrin, something like that, very hazardous things. So what are the general first aid? I am just touching the subjects a little bit because of these are students and other non-agriculture people. So general first aid. Don't get panic. First, you remove the patient to the open area, fresh air look తీసుకురండి. Remove the contaminated clothing and immediately స్నానం చేయించేసేయాలి. తర్వాత wash the patient thoroughly with plenty of soap and water. Keep the patient calm and comfortable. అజ్జరిపోయింది జరిపోయింది అని భయపెట్టద్దు, కామ్గా ఉంచాలి పర్సన్. ఇమ్మీడియట్ మెడికల్ అటెన్షన్, దగ్గరలో మెడికల్ డాక్టర్ ఉంటే మెడికల్ డాక్టర్ దగ్గర తీసుకెళ్ళాలి. సో దీస్ ఆర్ ఆల్ సింపుల్ థింగ్స్, బట్ వన్ నీడ్ టు ప్రాక్టీస్. బ్రీతింగ్ అయినా లేదనుకోండి, ఆర్టిఫిషియల్ బ్రీతింగ్ కూడా ఇవ్వచ్చు. సో దీస్ ఆర్ ఆల్ థింగ్స్. సో ఒకవేళ పాయిజన్ ఇవ్వడానికి తాగాడు అనుకోండి పొరపాటున తెలియక, సో వాట్ టు డూ? రిమూవ్ పాయిజన్ ఫ్రమ్ ద పేషెంట్ స్టమక్ ఇమీడియట్లీ బై ఇండ్యూస్ వామిటింగ్. తర్వాత సాల్ట్, 15 grams సాల్ట్ గ్లాస్ ఆఫ్ వామ్ వాటర్ ఇస్తే దట్ విల్ nullify the some poisonous effects. So these things, gently stroking or touching the throat with the finger, so any cheste. So these are all first aid things. Inhalation of poison, పీల్చాడు అనుకోండి ఏం చేయొచ్చు? ఇమ్మీడియట్ గా అక్కడి నుంచి తీసుకొచ్చి పక్కకు తీసుకెళ్ళాలా? డోర్స్ అన్ని ఓపెన్ చేసేసి, డోర్స్ అన్ని ఓపెన్ చేసేసి ఉంటారా? తర్వాత టైట్ క్లోజ్ చేసుకుంటే వాటిని లూజ్ చేసుకోవాలా? ఇట్లా. సో ఆర్టిఫిషియల్ రెస్పిరేషన్ టెక్నిక్స్. తర్వాత వణుకుతున్నాడు అనుకోండి, బ్లాంకెట్ ఇవ్వాలా? ఇవి. సో కీప్ ద పేషెంట్ ఫైట్ అండ్ పాసిబుల్. ఇఫ్ ద పేషెంట్ ఈస్ కన్వల్సింగ్, కీప్ హిమ్ అండ్ గెట్ సమ్ డార్క్ రూమ్. Do not give alcohol and any other things. So skin contamination, the first thing is you need to wash it thoroughly. Drench the skin with water. Apply a stream of water on the skin while removing clothes. So as much as possible soap is kadagesi icheseyala. So eye contamination, eyelids open chesi wash cheyala first running water tho, as much as water toti పూర్తిగా కడిగేసేయాలి. So these are all wash eyes gently with stream of running water. So ఫాస్ట్ గా చేయాలి. ఇలాంటివి జరిగినప్పుడు ఐ కంటామినేషన్ జరిగినప్పుడు చాలా ఫాస్ట్ చేయాలి. ఇంకా సిచ్యువేషన్ చేయదాడిపోతుంటే ఏం చేయొచ్చు? cover the patient with a light blanket, use strong tea or coffee, then you can inject hypodermic injection. It stimulates caffeine, epinephrine, ఇవన్నీ చేయొచ్చు. తర్వాత ఇంట్రావెనస్ కూడా ఇవ్వచ్చు. సో ఏంటంటే these are all certain pictorial things. You need to store them in a separate room. ఎందుకంటే చిన్నపిల్లలకు తెలియదు, ఇంట్లో లేడీస్ ఉంటారు, వాళ్ళకి తెలియదు కాబట్టి సో సపరేట్ లాక్ అండ్ కీలో ఒక దీంట్లో పెట్టాలి. తర్వాత చిన్నపిల్లల దగ్గర స్ప్రే చేసేటప్పుడు కూడా చాలా కేర్ఫుల్ గా వెళ్ళాలి. తర్వాత ఈ వాడిన వాటిను డోంట్ యూజ్ దెమ్ ఫర్ స్టోరింగ్ ఫుడ్ అండ్ అదర్ స్టఫ్. You need to destroy them, you need to burn them. So don't use bare hands. You need to use some stick or other things for stirring purpose. So these are all different safe handling of pesticides in the pictorial form. The disposal of used containers is most important. You have to bury them. If it is not possible, you have to burn them. So after spraying, you need to wash yourself and wash your clothes and take rest. So these are all things about the impact of pesticides and all other things. But at the end, I just give some not many, 2-3 some good agriculture practices and techniques recently. So this is a green manure crop. So why I'm showing this means there is a the topic is pesticides and fertilizers. So fertilizers we apply to the soil. When you apply fertilizers to the soil, this is an inorganic material and the soil is becoming dead. It is killing everything. Soil is a dynamic body. But nowadays, if you see, organic carbon content in soil has gone down. When our when we got independence in 1947, Indian soils used to have high organic carbon content. But now organic carbon content has come down. So to enhance, these are all not only pesticides and fertilizers, they both are interlinked. So that's why now we call it as plant health management. It is not one insect has damaged the crop, or any disease damaged the crop, or virus damaged the crop. We are applying insecticides. So why they are causing damage to the crops excessively? Because we are not adding anything to the soil. We are adding only inorganic chemical fertilizers to the soil. So to avoid that, we need to add more carbon content thing, that is like green manure crops. This is Sunham. So this is a green manure crop. We generally plant sowing. We generally take up sowings during Kharif season. That is in the month of July, August. So we receive rains in May and June. So in that immediately after receipt of the rains, we have to sow this crop, and after reaching it 30 to 40 days, we have to plow this. So like that, we have to plow this before sowing main crop. We have to plow this. So you can see we are adding a lot of tons of organic carbon, organic manure to the soil. So this is a very good agriculture practice. So this is must. One has to get good crop, to get good soil health, plant health, less residues. If you want to do that, you have to add this good agriculture practice, like addition of green manure to the soil. So other thing, spraying. I have already shown you the type of spraying we are doing. But nowadays, these drones are available for spraying. You can see, say in drone spraying, no person is involved in here. Only the person with remote, he will stand far away and he will operate the thing. So you can see no contamination to the mankind, person, human being. So and drift is also less. So the kind of spray you can see, it's a very small And other thing is nowadays pheromone technology. These pheromones means these insects, they release certain volatile chemical substances to attract other sex. So this is sex pheromones. So here what will they for so many insects, these pheromones have been identified. Here we will put some lure, some chemical lure impregnated in plastic or nanomaterial, these things, and once we put here, and it will attract male adults. So once the male adults are attracted and they get trapped, and we can physically you can kill, mechanical physical killing can be done, so that it will reduce the usage of chemicals. So here you can see this is I told you, this is a trap. So it has trapped many insects, adults. So the adults are trapped, these male adults are trapped, so there will not be mating, less mating, and less egg laying will be there. So these are all the things we need to practice as a good agriculture practice. We need to educate the farmers, we need to educate the citizens, we need to educate. Now agriculture education is a primary thing nowadays. Everybody should know these minimum things, because India is a agriculture country. 70% of the people are dependent on agriculture. So these things, these are all the different things you can. So another thing is mating disruption thing. So even you can apply these pheromones on the crop. So these insects will not come here. Even they come, it will be difficult for them to find the mate. So mating disruption will occur. So there will not be any egg laying. There will not be any damage to the crop. These are all advanced technologies coming to the field, and there is a lot of progress in science. So slowly we need to move from chemical farming to these things. So before closing this thing, I will, since a lot of students are there, I will end with my talk with small 1-minute clip of some inspiring song.
సాంగ్ వినిపించలేదు.
So thank you so much to the organizers, especially Principal and Ravindra Garu and all other faculty, students for kind listening. Thank you so much, sir. I have completed, I have done, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, yes.
Now I request G. Rahul Garu to introduce Murthy S.S. Chavli Garu, from Dean from Analytical University, Alliance University, Bangalore. Over to Rahul, sir.
I am G. Rahul, lecturer in charge of Chemistry Department, SVRK Degree College, Nedduval. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. GMB Prasad Rao Garu and Professor Murthy S.S. Chavli Garu for agreeing to participate in the webinar, sir. We are very ever grateful to you. And today's webinar is on impact of pesticides and fertilizers on plants and human health. So actually, India is a country of 1 billion population. Now it is a self-sufficient country in food security, but it was not the case in the earlier days. Our country had to import food grains from USA under PL 480, which is a food for peace program. But constructing of huge dams after independence and advent of green revolution has made India a self-reliant country in food grains, but it comes with a cost, that is deterioration of soil health and human health by using indiscriminate of pesticides. So in this context, this webinar will enlighten us the ill effects of using pesticides indiscriminately. So I would like to introduce some of the, Professor Murthy S.S. Savali Garu, but he has so many achievements and laurels in his career, but I will give only Professor Sivasatyana Srinivas Murthy Garu is a pioneer in the field of analytical chemistry and recipient of numerous awards and commendations, both nationally and internationally. Presently, he is a Dean Research at Alliance University, Bangalore. He has over 2.5 decades of teaching and research experience. Professor Murthy has published over 300 articles in journals of high repute with high impact factors and made contributions towards 12 patents, and is responsible for over 150 technical reports and 87 books. He holds a PhD degree in analytical chemistry from Vienna University, Austria, and postdoctoral fellowship from Japan Society for the Promotion of Science. His research interests are optical waveguide technology, IR sensors, LIF, chip-based chemical and biochemical sensors, development and application of spectroscopic techniques for the study of nanomaterials. Some of his achievements are: he was awarded with national level Best PG Chemistry Teacher Award 2020 given by Association of Chemistry Teachers India. He was featured in top 40 analytical scientists in the world, Power List 2014, the American Scientist UK, NSF and USA Fellowship in 2000, and a fellowship for World Bank survey project entitled Industrial Pollution Survey in India for Karnataka in 1995. Young Scientist Award he got it in 2008, and Best Research Programmer Award in 2012 and 2013. International projects Taiwan, Canada, about 28 million 2005. First Young Indian Scientist Colloquium 2009 in CFFR Outstanding Receiver Awards. Early receiver in 2015, 16, 17, and 18, and for Springer in 2016. He was a visiting professor at Danube University, France, Austria. Thank you very much, sir, for participating and giving some inputs on pesticides hazards. Thank you very much, sir. Over to Murthy Garu, sir. Sir, you can carry on, sir, now.
Thank you, Dr. Rahul.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I should thank the members and faculty of SVRK Government Degree College for giving me this opportunity to talk about pesticides and fertilizers effects on human health. And I thank the principal, Dr. K. Jyoti, and Dr. V.B. Ravindra, lecturer, Department of Chemistry. And lastly, I would like to thank for the finest introduction of me by Dr. Rahul. Thank you. And it gives me immense pleasure for me to discuss with the August gathering of faculty, scientists, and the students to talk about the effect of pesticides and fertilizers on human health. And the theme that has been chosen by SVRK Government Degree College on the national webinar, inviting two eminent people to discuss on impacts of pesticides and fertilizers. And in fact, my share of talk has been simplified by previous speaker, Dr. GMV Prasad Rao, Principal Scientist Entomology in Agricultural University, Lam, Guntur. And with that, I'll try to skip some of the slides as the time is also going to be very short, but I'll try to give most of the information that I tend to give for this particular national webinar. And in this particular talk, I'm going to introduce what are these pesticides, what is the purpose of this, and what are the losses that they are being incurring without the usage of these pesticides and fertilizers, and give a little bit introduction to the classification, examples, and world markets, how they are being utilized in the world, in the different continents, US, America, Europe, and also this Asian continent. And finally, once we get into the realization, we'll try to understand what are the uses, risk, benefits, and the effects. And finally, I try to summarize at the end of this particular seminar. And the more stress is going to be, as per the theme of this particular national webinar, on risk, benefits, and impacts. Coming to the introduction, pesticides are the one the substance meant to kill or control the pests. Why? Because the yield is being eaten away by these pesticides, and as we are growing in terms of population, the yield is going to be yield requirement is going to be very high, and we need to control these pests. So we tend to use these particular pesticides. As we understood that pesticides are being produced vastly, though usage is a little less, but still it can be utilized for various purposes. The term pesticides includes the following: herbicides, insecticides, nematicides, moluscicides, pesticides, herbicide, whatever it is. The primary idea is to kill those organisms that are trying to produce our yield or the produce. And at the same time, fertilizer is the one where it can increase the yield without killing this particular. It is nutrient supplement to the plants where you can produce enough of produce compared to the area in which we are trying to sow these particular plants. And these particular fertilizers are the formulations which can contain NPK compounds mainly to promote the growth. And phosphates, PO4, PO4 3- are the soluble and insoluble phosphorus, and all potassium compounds dissolved in water produce potassium ions, which is very much essential for this particular fruit as a fertilizer, as a nutrient supplement for this particular plant. They do exist in the form of natural and synthetic origin. We'll talk about this in the coming slides. And pesticides can be biological, chemical, physical agents that can kill unwanted plants and animals, and disease agents that are responsible for reducing the yield or production in various form, which is unwanted. And the term pesticides includes many kinds of ingredients. As we discussed, it could be in the form of products such as insecticides, fungicides, disinfectants, rodenticides, insect repellents, weed killers, antimicrobials, or the chemical that we use in the swimming pools. And at the same time, we try to kill the microbes or bacteria and fungi, etc., etc. All these things can be utilized. The primary function of the pesticides is to help the keep insects and pests away from the plant so that our produce is not being deteriorated. And the primary function of these fertilizers or chemical substances supplied to the crops to increase the productivity. That means both are accounting for the same function. One is to killing the pests and increase the productivity. Other one is increasing or enhance the productivity by applying these chemical substances. So we'll try to see the requirement of these pesticides and fertilizers in our agriculture sector. And at the same time, we will also try to know how they are affecting in line with our agricultural laborers, where it is going to be very much harmful for human health. Before we understand this, we need to go into the estimated losses. For example, if you take rice is one of the important crop in India, and the losses are going to be, just because of insects, it is going to be 26.7%. And diseases, weeds, and other account to almost 50% of produce is being lost in case of rice because of this particular pesticides. And if you eliminate these pests by applying pesticides, you can increase at least half, 1/4 of this particular thing can be increased, which is also enormous amount for the requirement of the entire nation. And same is the case. The one most important thing that is being affected by insects is peanut in agriculture and sugarcane. All this thing completely, which is very close to 25 to 50% of the produce. So we need to use these pests so that these losses can be avoided. And if you see the total number of percentage loss in different crops in India, it is going to be very, very high per year. And this can be controlled by using enough amount of pesticides. And at the same time, if you try to understand what are the types of pests, you have different classifications for pesticides like insecticides, herbicides, fungicides, rodenticides, etc., etc. I'm not going to go into details of this classification, but it has different types. I try to introduce these types of classifications for you under various means. And you have, again, insecticides, herbicides, and further based on the functional groups, they were further classified into organophosphorus, carbonides, triazones, and some of these examples are also listed over here. This is just for your understanding, but the main theme is going to be concentrated on the effects of pesticides and fertilizers. Again, if you see these pesticides, based on this particular effect, it can be further classified first generation, second generation, third generation. And based on type of pest, they are again classified into fungicides, nematicides, rodenticides, herbicides, insecticides, and also based on the type of nature, whether they are organic or inorganic and whether they're synthetic. These different types of classifications are available, and most of them are inorganic pesticides made from minerals such as copper, boron, lead, sulfur, tin, and zinc, which is definitely called as a Borax mixture. And some of the synthetic organic pesticides are also man-made, and it contains chlorine, phosphorus, nitrogen. Examples of 7-malathion, diethion, diazonium, etc., etc. And at the same time, we also exist microbial pesticides where we use beneficial nematodes, beneficial microbes so that these pests can be controlled. And some of the plant-based organic pesticides, especially from the plant neem, you get rotenone and pyrethrins. All these things kind of one way or the used as pesticides for increasing the decreasing the losses of losses that are being incurred by these particular pests. And these are some of the examples. Of course, some of these things are already banned, but still the excess usage in backdoor roads, they are still being used for different purposes unknowingly by these particular farmers. But still, it is better always advised to use a required amount as per the agriculture sciences stipulated, so that you can save the life, you can save endangered species, and also you can also save from the effects of this particular chemical substance, toxic chemical substance on the human health. Again, there are other types of classifications like the type of formulations like granules, baits, dust, fumigants, and amyl soil concentration. And also based on the toxicity of WHO, these pesticides are further classified into class 1A, B, 2, 3, 4, etc., etc. This is just a basic understanding for you to understand the level of toxicity by this particular. If the class is going to be 4, it is unlikely to present an acute hazard in the normal use. If it is 1A, it is going to be extremely hazard. So you have to be very, very careful not to be make it available with the students or kids or any household members without being unknowingly touching this particular substance without any gloves that are being added. And these pesticides are also again classified based on the type of the pests you try to control. They have their type of pesticides like virucides, herbicides, bactericides, molluscides, fungicides, rodenticides, herbicides, etc., etc. This is just typical about the classification. And coming to the fertilizers, you also have different types of, since we know we are trying to give NPK along with the urea. So most of them are subdivided nitrogenous fertilizers, phosphate fertilizers, potassium fertilizers, and at the same time, they also have organic, inorganic, microbial, and biopesticides. And nowadays you are going to have liquid urea nanotech fibers or nanotech fertilizers so that these can be utilized, or even the vermicompost biocomposites can also be used as fertilizers. So this is a typical simple classification about the fertilizers rather than we compare with the typical complex classification of pesticides. And coming to the world market, China is one of the best and the highest utilized in terms of kg pesticide per hectare of the cropland, because it uses 13.1, and then comes United States and Brazil and Argentina further. Though India produces a lot of pesticides, but most of them it is not being utilized for agriculture purposes in our own country, because there is some sort of realization by the people so that it is less utilized, and fertilizers is the one which is highly used by India to increase the productivity of the particular crop. If you see some of the areas where you have US $10.88 by 2028, that means the cumulative annual growth rate of usage of this particular pesticides is going to increase from 5% from 2021 to 2028. So this is the amount of requirement based on the utilization by different countries, especially China. This CAGR is going to be increased to 5%. And if you talk about insecticides, they are valued at US dollars 14.5 billion in 2017 and projected to grow, and it is already reaching 19.3. That means there is an increase in 5.8%. So including household pesticides, the field-based pesticides or insecticides that are creating the losses for the farmer is going to be increased. That means you are supposed to increase the volume of pesticides that is being used to keep the stable productivity levels in your per hectare cropland. So this is the way in which the markets are trending based on the utilization by various countries. And especially If you talk about pesticides in 1940, the first use of synthetic pesticides has been established in 1940. And if you talk about usage in household or agriculture fields, 70% of these pesticides are being consumed for the agriculture fields, and 25% are still consumed for the home, garden, and other structural purposes within our household activities. For example, 1/4 of the world pesticides, it is being utilized by USA itself, and it has 980 active ingredients and 30,000 formulation. Means if you mix this formulation further, this probably can go into exponential way where you can have 60,000 formulations by one country alone. So consumption increased worldwide by 2.26 from 2001 onwards, with 25% raise in world production. That means population is growing, and at the same time, your production has to increase. And to achieve that, you're going to have 25% increase in production of these pesticides, fertilizers, and pesticides. And this seems to be a successful business in creating the pesticides and reselling them. And especially this is going to be a $50 billion business, especially in the United States. So such is the requirement and such is the usage of these pesticides, so that the effects are going to be alternately coming in. And if you talk about pesticides over a period of 2013 to 2023 fiscal year, it is going to be exponential increase. But at the same time, there is one appreciative thing where they're trying to use the biopesticides, which is in the blue color. The increase in biopesticides slightly increased, but this has to come down and this has to increase further, so that the effects are going to be very, very minor on humans and animals in this particular case. This is only for your understanding. And if you talk about the fertilizer markets, Asia Pacific is the largest market for chemical fertilizers, accounting for 43% of the global market. Means the population is going to be high. And once you have population, you need to feed the population by increasing your productivity. That means instead of pesticides, we are trying to increase the productivity by supplying additional manures in the form of fertilizers. So that's why we almost account to 50% of this. So our CAGR is very high, and the most consumption is being coming from MEA, Middle East, Africa, and Asia Pacific Association-based countries. And by 2021, it is going to be $3.21 billion and estimated to grow at CAGR, cumulative annual growth rate of 13.01 to reach 5.91 billion by 2026. That means it is not going to be the lesson, but our farm management skills have to be increased further, so that this can be reduced, and at the same time, productivity can be kept at the same level what has been targeted by 2026. So in that way, we can promulgate something like that, so that it will be highly useful for over a period of time. And if this is continued with the farm management skills, as we heard from the previous speaker, we are going to have much more effective usage compared to the history use. For example, if you talk about the European market, by 2020, it is going to be $32 million, which is very, very high. China is amongst the largest producer of fertilizers in Asia Pacific, and at the same time, the market size is going to be $1.4 billion by 2027. And it also has largest share compared to the data obtained from 2019, which is 41% of the entire Asian share. And demand for organic fertilizers is increasing in Asia Pacific region. And at the same time, we're also having liquid fertilizers see the surge in demand across North America, and this is also going to be picking up in Asia Pacific region, where in India we have different types of companies where they're trying to produce the liquid fertilizers. Of course, we are also one of the research team where we're trying to produce liquid urea, so that the cost is going to come down, the concentration is going to increase, and at the same time, volume is also going to be reduced. So it is very easy for the farmer to use this to increase his productivity. And that is one area where nano fertilizers will come in. And nowadays it has been realized, because the effects of human beings or resistance that is being increased in the case of these particular, because the pest uses of these pesticides and the plant pathogens and the mutation that they're going to occur. So people have tried to realize to use less amount of fertilizers and at the same time use natural ways of pesticides to reduce the pests. And at the same time, if you have nano fertilizers, you can literally spray little amount of quantity on the particular area where you can produce this thing. And if you see some of the statistics from based on the publication, you have a lot of publications that are coming from nano and agriculture, and at the same time we also have nano and sensor-based agriculture. So this has to be increased further so that you will be able to tackle this particular problem by end of 2026. And why do we use nano-enabled fertilizers? Because it has nutrient loading capacity, nutrient release rate, high nutrient efficiency, crop quality, productivity, and economic feasibility, and at the same time environmental compatibility. Because of all these benefits, we are trying to use different types of nanomaterials so that nanoclays, nanosilica, mesoporous silica, carbon-based nanomaterials, polymer composites, polymer nanoparticles, either to enhance the water retention capacity of these products and at the same time increase the productivity by applying little amount of fertilizer. So these are coming into the picture nowadays to get into the next level so that usage of pesticides will be reduced, usage of fertilizers will be reduced, and at the same time, comfort levels of the human mankind is going to be increased. And also the cost will come down, productivity will increase, the farmers will be very rich. So people are trying to look at these particular nano fertilizers or nano-enabled fertilizers so that they can get into highest level of productivity in the coming years. And this is going to be the target. And coming to the various uses, of course, I don't say that there are no impacts or benefits usage of these pesticides. It infill crop protection. It will have pest control, and it also treatment of export crops, fumigation on the timber, and insecticides are treated in the nets, and interior household residue spraying. All these things will be some of the effects. It is an effective way of keeping bugs out of the plants and flowers, and studies of the pesticide have saved people in contracting malaria by killing the pests that are or the mosquitoes that are being coming. In one way or the other, it is also acting in killing some of the pesticides, pests that are giving a lot of other elements and ailments in developing countries. So in one way or the other, are these toxic to humans? Of course they are. They are potentially hazardous to humans, animals, organisms, and environment. They have short-term and long-term effects, and at the same time, acute and immediate effects. Those things we are going to see. The chronic effects include birth defects, infertility, limitations, reproductive problems, damage to organs like livers, kidneys, lungs, and etc. And reproductive harm for pesticides because they have a lot of birth defects. Sterility, infertility is also another important thing that is occurring because of this rural populations. And as you said, as you heard from the previous speaker, Prasad Rao Garu, even the breast milk is also containing high amounts of pesticides in urban areas. That means it is completely polluted with pesticides in urban air pollution, and it is also coming into indoor air quality also being affected. And this also leads to a lot of cancerous materials like cancers for brain, breast, prostate, testis, and also in blood cancer. And they are also accounting for endocrine receptors, where they express most of the bodily brain functions, so that the brain development, IQ levels will decrease, the sleep cycles and stress response is going to be very, very high. All these things are effective because of pesticide concentration are increasing in our atmosphere in terms of particles or in terms of vapors, everything. This is going to disrupt the entire life slowly. Either it could be toxic, immediate effect, or it could be slow. And in case of organic phosphates and carbamates, they act like a nerve gas. That means the brain function is going to be decreased heavily. And also you have pyrethroids, and many pyrethroids also cause long-term health effects. You don't see anything in the present day, but still it is going to have very long-term effect after 5 years or 10 years. For example, resmethrin causes a cancer and reproductive harm. Cypermethrin, phenvalerate, and deltamethrin cause genetic damage and reproductive harm. So these are some of the important things one has to. And in addition to that, I'm not going to read all these things, but still for your information, I'm trying to show what is the thing that is going to have a short-term effect, long-term effect, and even acute immediate effect. So these are some of the fungicides that are responsible for all these things, because we are going to spray these fungicides, nematicides, and even herbicides. And all these things, mainly they will cause irritants to skin, corrosive sensation to the eyes, etc., headaches, stomach pains, and also irritation, and also respiratory failures and respiratory tract infections. All these things are very much possible. For example, if you talk about the pesticide risk and benefits, you always have risk, and at the same time you also have some of the benefits. You need to balance this thing without spoiling the ecosystem and also without affecting the agricultural laborers. The risks are toxic to humans and impact the environment and ecosystem. Benefits of crop protection, food preservation, material preservation, and disease control. And these can be used in agriculture, horticulture, and these products also can be utilized in quality, quantity, and diversity of the food supply. So all these things are going to be highly useful in one way or the other. And at the same time, if you talk about the impacts, they are going to have very hazardous impact on air, soil, water, plants, animals in and outside the buildings. And they can also create some of the problems for the endangered species. And public concern is also growing about the effect of pesticides on the environment, because it is going to be a long-term effect. It's not going to be immediate effect, but still people are trying to understand with the generation gap how these things are going to be effective on them as well as on the environment, and how they are going to disrupt the entire ecosystem. It can cause habitat loss, unregulated illegal collection, pesticide pollution, competition with other species, because one species is being reduced, other species is going to be the dominant one, more diseases are going to be prevailed, and predation is going to be very possible. To understand how pesticides impact the environment, we need to know the chemical characteristics, and we need to know whether it is going to be produced in such a requirement, toxicity levels, and degradation levels also to be understood before it is being produced. Pesticide movements during and after application, based on the meteorological parameters, we need to identify whether it is going to create a boundary parameters or it is going to affect other regional districts, and what are the other special environmental considerations because of this spray of pesticides and utilization of this fertilizers. And therefore, as per WHO and UNEP, it is estimated that every year nearly 3 million workers affected by these in agriculture industry. So this is one of the very important one where it is being affected by several numbers of the people, which is estimated by WHO and UN. So one has to be aware of these things in spraying. And at the same time, with this increase in pesticides, there are a lot of fertility problems, sudden miscarriages among the women farmers who are trying to be employed in these agriculture sectors. And also it creates, because of specific chemicals used in pesticides, they can be highly toxic and hazardous to the women farmers. And if you see exposure at the toxic levels, there's a surveillance system which is being done in a 3-year period, 93 to 96, where insecticides are one of the category of pesticides where they have highest amount of illness or losses, especially even the fatality rate is also very, very high among all these types of pesticides. Insecticides are the one important one. And also at the same time, it has more amount of major cases in terms of health. And this is 3-year period. And if you talk about pesticide-related fatalities and hospitalization, you can see USA is the one which has very low fatalities and hospitalization, but still some of the countries, developing countries like underdeveloped countries like Costa Rica and Sri Lanka, where the agriculture produce is completely high compared to India and Bangladesh, but still the fatalities and hospitalization are very, very high, because without awareness, they are trying to employ a lot of pesticides, and at the same time, they are trying to use a lot of fertilizers. And typically, this has been already discussed by a previous speaker, the pesticide cycle, how the bioaccumulation is going to happen, how it is going to be fatal. And the effects are going to be very, very high in terms of usage of pesticides, and it can create some of the cancers, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, asthma, bronchitis, etc., etc. And in case of fertilizers also, high levels of nitrates and nitrates, because fertilizers mainly contains NPK and urea. Mostly it is nitrogenous, phosphorus, potassium-based compounds, and it can create some of the disorders like hemoglobin disorders, and it can increase the content, which is unwanted nitrates and nitrates in our bloodstream. And at the same time, this can also support Alzheimer's, not in the case of pesticide levels, but still at some level, it can support these Alzheimer's and brain-related tissues because of nitrates and nitrates. And also it can be a cause of diabetes mellitus type 2. And excess usage of this will also lead to reduction in animal plankton, phytoplankton, which are the primary producers, where with all these things, your entire ecosystem and ecological imbalance is going to happen. and it will affect. There are a lot of publications where effect of pesticides on soil and water, microflora and mesofauna on wetland rice fields, though it is affecting the rice crop for 50% or 49.7%, but still it is also affecting the microfauna, mesofauna, microflora, etc. And this has been published in one of the articles in 1994. But still, as of now, there are thousands of publications which are related to affecting the fauna and flora based on this particular experiments, especially on the rice fields, which is predominant in India and other Asian countries. So if we talk about fertilizers, are these toxic to humans? In general, not all fertilizers are toxic to human health, but still, if you use it unwantedly, it is going to be highly effective. And there are some of the noted several harmful effects of these chemical fertilizers, like waterway pollution. Your water level is going to be highly polluted, and these waterways can be eutrophicated at different levels, 4 stages mostly, and chemical burns. Corrosiveness of these particular fertilizers when treated with water, they can give some burns, increased air pollution once it gets into the air, and acidification of soil and mineral depletion. So all these things are secondary effects of these fertilizers in using excessively because of the high levels of nitrates and nitrates that are being present. So in short, the pesticides are chemical substances which can be used for killing the controlled pests, and at the same time usage should be minimal, and we try to adapt biopesticides and other organic pesticides to control these pests, increase the productivity, and to increase the productivity, usage of fertilizer should be minimal, and it cannot be much more higher than the prescribed trees, going far beyond their requirement. And also people should understand the awareness and the classification of these particular pesticides. Plus, at the same time, people should form into some of the principles that are given by the regulatory bodies in organic farming practices, and new policy and direction should be required in preparing these particular synthetic materials in the green chemistry program. And also people should be more responsible, and this has to be produced in a different way so that the product cycle to reduce the environmental effects and effects on human health should also be completely controlled, and it can be managed. So all these things are possible once farmers understand the farm management rules. And with this, some of the reference book for students, which is useful for you to understand where this particular presentation has been prepared, and with some of the examples for different bibliographies. I try to conclude this with acknowledgement for different funding agencies and my groups and my collaborators. And thank you for your kind attention, and also thank the organizers, Dr. Ravindra and Dr. K. Jyoti, Principal, for giving me this opportunity to speak with this August gathering. Thank you, sir. And if you have any questions, it's open for it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable message. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for enlightening us. Now I request any participants who would like to interact with the resource persons or would like to give their valuable feedback, please raise your hand so that Dr. Jala Suresh garu, sir, please respond, sir.
So at the outset, let me introduce myself. So I'm Dr. Jala Suresh from Government Autonomous College, Rajahmundry. I'm very thankful to the College of SVRK Government Degree College in Nedavolu for conducting a national seminar, national webinar on impact of pesticides and fertilizers on plants and human health.
Thank you, sir.
Really, it's a mind-blowing session. I'm especially thankful to the principal, Dr. K. Jyoti Madam garu, and the webinar convener, Dr. V.V. Ravindra garu, and organizing secretary, Rahul garu, and my beloved friend, the IQAC coordinator, Dr. T. Hanumantrao garu, for organizing my best program and the first program of the SVRK Government Degree College in conducting the national webinar. So really, my first session, thankful to Dr. GMV Prasad Rao garu for giving the principal scientist at the Regional Agriculture Research Institution, Guntur, for enlightening the impact, giving a great, an importance on the green strategies and alternative methods of how there is impact of pesticides and agriculture on the biodiversity. Today, India is one of the agriculture economy. So where most of our people have been dependent on the agriculture. But today, as on day, because of the impact of globalization, privatization, industrialization, there was a great impact on establishment of toxic industries and chemical industries. So where in order to produce the great yield, because of the illiterates of the farmers, they don't know the impact of the usage of chemicals. So there was an extensive lecture given by Dr. GMV Prasadrao Garu, and what are the alternative methods that has to be adopted to try to control the impacts of pests and insects and rodenticides are on the agriculture economy. And moreover, I'm very especially thankful to Dr. SVV Murthy Chavala, the Dean Research and a Professor from Alliance University, Bangalore, for giving an alternative methods of impact of world market on the impact of these pesticides and insecticides. So anyhow, really it's a mind-blowing sections. So on behalf of the entire chemistry fraternity, so we congratulate the team of SVRK Government Degree College, Department of Chemistry in collaboration with IQAC. Thank you and all. Thank you very much for providing an opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jala Suresh. Any participants would like to interact with the resource persons or madam, please go ahead. Jyoti madam, please unmute yourself and please, principal garu, please.
Namaste, Murthy garu.
Namaste.
One thing I would like to ask, sir, you are talking about the decrease, how to decrease the usage of pesticides and all. If we use nano pesticide, is it will there be any difference between the nano pesticides and the normal pesticide?
There is nothing much as nano pesticide, but people are trying to come up with new things on nano pesticides. The idea is not to use nano pesticides, rather than usage of nano fertilizers are going to be increased in less quantities. So there is no such thing as nano pesticides. Still, some are there available, but the consequences are going to be very, very high compared to the pesticides if you use, because of the unique properties of nano-enabled pesticides. So it is advisable not to use nano pesticides, rather than usage of nano fertilizers can be increased further in a limited quantity. And people are working on different types of nano-enabled fertilizers, where I've shown in the slide. And our group is also trying to produce nano-urea, where it can be consumed by the plant in less quantities, not applied to the soil, but at the same time, it can be utilized on the plant itself. So the quantities are very, very minimal to be used.
Thank you so much. And I also have a question for Prasad garu.
Madam, please, madam.
Prasad garu, namaste, sir.
Namaste, madam. Please ask, madam.
One sentence I like, because I am from the Department of Physics. You were talking about Einstein. You are saying that if peace would disappear from this planet, even our life would end in 4 years.
Yeah, madam.
I really loved the sentence. I heard that particular sentence once in a movie also.
Yeah, madam. Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Yeah, for the students who are in this gathering, that particular because the usage of the mobile phones and all, you could see the sparrows, the bees and all, the butterflies, they are coming to an extinction, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
So what could be the alternative for this?
Madam, safe methods, madam. Slowly moving towards organic way, reduction of chemical usage by different methods. Our university has developed and integrated management strategies. Not only single insecticide or single pesticide. So starting from summer ploughing, soil solarization, intercrops, organic microbial pesticides, Bavaria, Verticillium. There are several pesticides are coming, madam, and government is also pushing organic farming in a big way in Andhra Pradesh. Especially government of Andhra Pradesh is now advocating organic cultivation. So that is the only option, madam. Slowly we need to move towards organic, natural way of producing things. We need to reduce the chemical pesticides or chemical fertilizers to the extent possible. At least we may not reduce 100%, But today only farmers are using only chemicals. 95 to 96% of chemicals are being used. Only 3 to 4% organic things are used. That needs to be changed. At least 25% organic, 75% inorganic. Slowly 50% organic, 50% inorganic. Slowly we have to. It is not a that easy thing because we have already. You see the population, and we need to. There are several things are there. It's an interconnected activity, and the social responsibilities are there. Government needs to feed the hungry people. That is also another issue. It's not that easy, but there is no other option. We have to move towards slowly organic, the organic cultivation. Research is in progress, and science is in progress, and a lot of now sir is telling nano urea. Yes, IFCO has produced nano urea, and yesterday only that IFCO people visited our place, and we are using 45 kgs bag. Instead of 45 kg bag, they are telling only 500 ml of nano urea. One single small bottle is sufficient.
Yes.
So see the technology, development of technology, development of science. So like that, we need to. Earlier we used to DDT used to be there, PHC used to be there. Toxic pesticides are there. Nowadays, not that toxic pesticides, highly specific molecules.
Okay, that means there should be an attitudinal change that should come in the farmers, and I think our students, they will become the torchbearers of that attitudinal, bringing the attitudinal change in the farmers and all. Okay, thank you, Murthy Garu, and also Prasad Garu. Murthy Garu, I really loved your the way of your presentation, the whole of the PowerPoint. It was powerful. I think lots of things. Each slide, it contained nearly. I think if we start reading each slide, it will go to nearly 5 to 6 papers. If we start
thank you.
pondering upon it, a lot of information you have given to us, sir, and even Prasad Garu also. Certain sentence, they were very, very heart-touching sentences. Like one sentence again, I remember, that is 1% loss in the crop that will feed nearly 25 million population, something like that. That was a great thing. And another sentence also I noted down actually. That is 100 lakh crore rupees. There is 100 there is lakh there is crore there. In that particular sentence, that phrase, 100 lakh crore rupees. See the phrase. That's an excellent phrase which I thought should note down. Thank you, Murthy Garu, and thank you, Prasad Garu.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for inviting us, and it is real nice to interact with always with faculty, students, especially non-agriculture faculty and students. I love to interact with them because it is the need of our madam. India is a agriculture country. Recently only 3rd December only we have celebrated National Agriculture Education Day. In our institute, we invited 6,000 school children, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th class students, and we interacted with them. We have shown our form and activities. So definitely there should be a attitudinal change, behavioral change, and people should think in different way only. Then only we can progress, madam. Thank you very much.
Over to Ravindra Garu.
Thank you, Prasad Garu and Murthy Garu. Thank you very much, sir. Now I request our IQAC coordinator, Dr. T. Hanumantrao Garu, to propose formal vote of thanks. Over to you, Hanumantrao Garu.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. T. Hanumantrao, Head of the Department of Economics and IQAC coordinator of SVRK Government Degree College, Nerdavolu. On behalf of the staff, students, and Principal Madam of SVRK Government Degree College, Nerdavolu, I am here to present the vote of thanks for today's national webinar on impact of pesticides and fertilizers on plants and human health. I would like to thank our resource person, Professor Murthy Sir, Dean, Analytical Chemistry and Nanotechnology, Alliance University, Bangalore, for enlightening us with their knowledge. Today's webinar was full of knowledge and interesting things. I gave deep insights into the topic and also revealed some interesting facts. I am pretty sure the previous knowledge that Professor Murthy sir gave us will definitely help us in our studies and future. Once again, I would like to thank Professor Murthy sir for attending the webinar, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
I offer my gratitude to our resource person, Dr. GMV Prasad Rao Garu, Principal Scientist, Acharya, NG Ranga University, Lam Guntur, to take out time from his busy schedule to attend the national webinar. Thank you, sir, for your valuable speech. No doubt, sir, that your words definitely help us in our studies and future. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Prasad Rao Garu. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for inviting me, for giving time to interact with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I must thank our principal madam, Dr. Jyoti Madam Garu, for providing immense support to make this webinar successful, Madam Garu. Thank you very much, Madam Garu. Thank you, Madam Garu. Special thanks to Dr. V.V. Ravindra Garu, convener of this national webinar, for his hard working and organize a national webinar even amidst this pandemic situation. I especially thanks Ravindra Garu. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. A special thanks to Sri G. Rahul Garu, Organizing Secretary of this national webinar, for his contribution to make this webinar as a great success. I am thankful to organizing committee members Sri E. Nageshwar Rao Garu, Head of the Department and Vice Principal of the College, and Srimati M. Usha Rani Garu for their contribution in this webinar. I am also thankful to coordinator and members of the IQAC and NAC committees of this college for their support in organizing seminar. We are very much thankful to all the participants of various colleges, academicians, to their active participation. I also thankful our friend Dr. J. Suresh Garu for giving his valuable feedback. Thank you, Suresh Garu. Thank you very much, sir. I am very much thankful to all the teaching, non-teaching and students of SVR Government Degree College to their active role in this webinar. I would like to express my gratitude to all the volunteers, electronic and print media for their role in this seminar. Last, sure but not the least, we are very much grateful to the Almighty God for making this webinar a grand success. With this vote of thanks, I would like to close the program. Thank you, and each and everyone. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Madam Garu. Thank you.
సో థ్యాంక్ యూ అండి, అందరికీ థ్యాంక్ యూ. అట్లాగే మాకు టెక్నికల్ సపోర్ట్ చేసి మేము ఇంత కంఫర్టబుల్గా మేము రన్ చేయడానికి కారణం కంప్యూటర్ సైన్స్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ డిఓడి సౌజన్య గారు, వారికి అట్లాగే ఇంకా కొంతమంది నాన్ టీచింగ్ స్టాఫ్ వీళ్ళందరూ కూడా మాకు బాగా సపోర్ట్ చేశారు. వాళ్ళందరికీ మేము థ్యాంక్స్ చెప్తున్నాం. ఎస్పెషల్లీ అవర్ ప్రిన్సిపల్ మేడం కే జ్యోతి గారు, థ్యాంక్ యూ మేడం ఫర్ గివింగ్ దిస్ ఆపర్చునిటీ టు బీ హియర్ అండ్ to organizing this webinar. Then a special thanks to Murthy sir, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. And GMV Prasad Garu, thank you very much, sir. వీళ్ళందరికీ థ్యాంక్స్ చెప్తున్నాను. అట్లాగే ఈ ప్రోగ్రామ్ కన్క్లూడ్ చేస్తున్నాం విత్ నేషనల్ యాంథమ్తో కన్క్లూడ్ అవుతుంది. ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा, विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा, तव शुभ नामे जागे, तव शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तव जय गाथा। जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।